Nazi, come here. Cell Squad is something. Don't look off the dance, man. Yo, you want something? Yeah, man. Cell Squad is. Yeah, man. Don't lock it off. Don't tell her. Guess what, Squad? Go buy a peanut from the peanut man. When him a go through in the dance, in a inbox him have everything you want. Herbs by the bottom by the stock. I like the top shell and them a shell down the bar. Watch it, mind you step on them clock.
Welcome to True Island Stories. This is a continuation of the traumatic and painstaking look back on our history back into the days of slavery. And it would be remiss of the guru of me, not to reveal these atrocities that was imparted on my ancestors at the hands of the white men, the colonialists, the brutal and egregious minds of men, all for greed and self-power. And oh, they loathed us back in those days and saw us as nothing but mere chattels, animals. We weren't even 1% of a human being. And even though white men who even were found to have 1% mixture of blacks in them were considered as blacks and therefore were treated as such. Now, look at this picture in your screen with the red circle around it. You see some white men in the Bible. You see this little kid in the front. This little black child. And to your left, you will see a white man with a Bible open. And I'm sure he's quoting some godly scriptures. And below is the caption saying, "This is 1908 Belgians reading the Bible." And it goes on to state, before hanging a 7-year-old black child in Congo under King Leopold II. The boy was hanged because why? Because his father simply failed to produce his quota of wheat. To feed who? The white. And this child was hanged. Now, if that wasn't heights of brutality, then I don't know what is. Now, at 7 years old, tell me, what did that child do to them? What sort of crime did he commit for him to pay the penultimate sacrifice? A child at such a tender age doesn't have enough sense to know that he has sense. His innocence taken away from him, his life snatched away from him. Didn't even live to see 8 years old. Maybe he was the next scientist. Maybe he was the next doctor, a lawyer. Well, couldn't have been. But maybe he could have discovered something that was quite useful to mankind, as did several blacks whose history was shoveled up and buried under the rubble of colonialist misguidance, their heresy. And they were reading what? The Bible. I wonder, what were they doing? Were they blessing the event? Were they hanging him in the name of Christ? The same Christ that they imposed upon us. The same Christ that they taught us to believe in. Christianity. That they force upon the world. But if you know anything about history and religion, you know that this Christianity that they teaches us goes so far back that it was robbed from the Anunnaki diction. Who were the Anunnakis? Check that out on the True Island History channel. You have to know your history. So these are just stories repeated, and it is so similar that you can't miss it. It cannot be missed. But you know how history goes. As they are saying, once a car hits down a person around the corner, if it's a red car, by the time the story reach even 20 feet up the road, you're gonna hear, oh, it's a red car hit him down, while it was a white car or a green car. Then by the time it reached 20 more feet round the corner, you're gonna hear a blue truck. Then you're gonna hear a bicycle. 20 years down the line, you're gonna hear him sick and dead. But history is always told by the conqueror. And the conquered history, their truths, are most certainly, oftentimes buried for the truths of the conquerors. So most of Black history's truth are buried because we were the ones who taught white people how to sow rice crops. Yes, in South Carolina, when they were starving to death. And how we did that was in the midst of despair, because they isolated us on a land that was marshland, swampland. That's what they gave us. That's what they gave us in the Declaration of Independence. They pushed us out on a land that they thought was barren. Nothing could have grown there. But yet, we brought our experience and skill set from Africa, and we knew how to sow rice. And in a time of starvation in South Carolina, if it wasn't for our knowledge, if it weren't for our knowledge of sowing rice in the dampened, godforsaken land, they thought was godforsaken, mind you, all the white masters would have starved to death. Cotton, check my channel. Cotton that they got so rich off of, it was blacks who brought our knowledge and taught them how to grow cotton and made one white master rich, because the coffee market was becoming obsolete. And we taught them how to grow cotton. But instead of thanking us, they abused us. They work us overtime, 4 hours sleep, 20-hour work day shift, work night shift. They ran us to the ground, whipped us, chained us, starved us, abused us sexually. Everything evil and unbecoming under the sun they did to us. Now this 7-year-old child, he paid with his life for his dad supposedly sin. And what was his crime? Because he did not fulfill his quota. Why didn't he fulfill his quota? I'm sure he knew the dangers of not fulfilling his quota. Maybe he was sick. Maybe the same one beat him to the point where he couldn't work, because that was a frequency on the plantation, whipping. But to them, oh no, sickness was not in our script. Sick or no sick, we had to produce the goods, or else off with the heads. So that is why I implore these youths of today, learn your history and respect and learn to appreciate what we now have today as a blessing. Do not abuse it. Cherish it, because men and women, children have died, suffered repeatedly in thousands, droves, millions. So we now can have this freedom in this modern constitution. The right, freedom of speech, the right to vote, the right to bear arms, several other constitutional rights, the right to live, freedom of speech. But freedom of speech doesn't necessarily mean you're free to speak. Yes, we are censored in what we can say, and we all know that. So that part is merely a sham, is it not? Oh, the hearts of diabolical men. I implore you, research your history. Do not accept everything that's shoved down your throat. History is very important, because if you do not know your history, then you're as blind as a bat in the cave of the Mongolian desert. Then you're as blind as a bat in the caves in the Mongolian habitat. You have a wonderful day. Watch this video several times. Please like and share it. We must know our history, because without knowing where we're coming from, we certainly cannot know where we're going on this tumultuous sojourn that lies ahead. The Guru has spoken. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And remember, The Darker Side of Paradise, the book, written and narrated by the Guru, is on iTunes, Apple, Amazon. Check it out, the audiobook. The merch store is there. True Island History merch store and Patreon is also coming, where you'll get your merchandise and all stuff similar to True Island Stories. You have a wonderful day.
Nazi, come here. Cell Squad is something. Don't look off the dance, man. Yo, you want something? Yeah, man, Cell Squad is... yeah, man, don't lock it off. Don't tell her. Guess what, Squad? Go buy a peanut from the peanut man. When him a go through in the dance, in a box him have everything you want. Herbs by the bud and by the stock. I like the top shell and them a shell down the bar. Watch it, mind, you step on them clock.